Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Hey, Grow Your Law Firm listeners. This is Gracie House from Pilma, and I'm excited to pop on today and share with you a special invitation. If you're serious about growing your law firm this year, you need to be at Pilma Super Summit, happening May 20th through 23rd in San Antonio, Texas. For more than a decade, we have brought together the best minds in legal marketing, management, intake, and operations, and now AI for one purpose: helping law firm leaders grow and scale their law firms. Attendees leave our conference with a real plan, actionable tools, strategies, and resources, not a brain clouded with conflicting messages and ideas. This isn't a conference where you sit and listen to theory all day. You will hear from real attorneys who are sharing what's working and what's not working when it comes to marketing and managing their 8-figure law firms. You'll be in breakout sessions built specifically for your role: COOs, marketing directors, firm owners, managing partners, leadership teams, so the right people get the right strategies. You'll have the opportunity to workshop real challenges, ask questions of seasoned marketers and leadership experts, and walk away knowing exactly what to implement and who owns it when you get back. We're going deep on AI, and not in a conceptual way. In our AI breakout, you'll have your laptop open, building, testing, and creating alongside experts. At our recent AI for PI event, attendees literally built their own custom AI tools during one of our breakout sessions. That is the level of hands-on that we are about. You'll also get to connect with attorneys and law firm owners who are scaling fast, sharing what's working right now, and building relationships that last long after the conference ends. The networking is intentional, the content is actionable, and the agenda is packed. If you want clarity, momentum, and strategy you can actually execute, join us at Super Summit this May in San Antonio. Registration is open now. Check the link in the show notes and secure your spot today.
Hey, it's Jenna, Membership Growth Advisor with Pilma. If you're serious about growing your law firm this year, don't miss your chance to book a free law firm growth strategy session with me. We'll break down what's holding you back, identify the biggest opportunities in your firm, and map out the next steps to accelerate your growth. No pressure, just real strategy and direction tailored to you. Click the link in the show notes to schedule your free session.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison. Welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And we have today the honor and pleasure of having David Carrier, a lawyer from Western Michigan that specializes in estate planning and elder law. And I know you're thinking, why has Ken got somebody about estate planning and elder law? Well, here's the reason. We handle a lot of cases where we get sometimes people a lot of money, and then we give them the check and we walk away and we forget about them. And I think that ethically and morally, we've got a duty to try to help look after these people and at least send them to the right people to get some help with if you go out and you get a $10 million settlement, and they net about $5 million, that's life changing. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with it. And there's ways you can get them to the right people. I'm not saying we can do it, but I'm saying we can get them to the right people. And I don't know if you've even thought about it before, but I want to explore some of this with David today. David, thank you for being here.
Oh, you betcha. It's the same sort of thing that we see with people get an inheritance. And, you think, great, inheritance. Well, 6 months later, our rule of thumb, if the inheritance is less than $1 million, it's gone in 9 months. If it's more than $1 million, it's gone in 18 months. And I think part of that is just human nature, just psychology. People are familiar. People like what they're familiar with. And if you're the kind of person who doesn't have, $1 million in savings or what have you, or you're used to, hand to mouth existence, you want to get back to that hand to mouth existence just as quick as you can. And you see that with lottery winners, it's very obvious. And I've talked to PI guys and women and guys and gals and, who do this. And I've heard it expressed on more than one occasion. You talk about the moral aspect of it. But it's one of the things that really bugs them is that you get the award, which should be life-changing. And a year later, it's gone. And, and you can structure settlements, with annuities and stuff. But, we've all seen the ads. Oh, it's your money, and let's get it spent now. My parents used to talk about money from my paper, they talk about don't let the money burn a hole in your pocket. And I think that does happen. And it happens with inheritances. It happens, I believe, lottery winners, will put them to one side. But for regular folks, it's inheritances, which should be a foundation for that next generation. And I think it's just more important now than it ever has been. Given think about what you paid. Ken, what did you pay for your first house?
$25,000.
Yeah. And same house today?
Probably 250.
There you go. Okay. I went to Notre Dame on an Army scholarship. Thank you, American taxpayers. I do appreciate it. But it was $5,000 when I went. I've got a kid who, please God, next year he'll be going there. It's almost $100,000. Think about the price of cars. Think about the price of houses. All these things are so much more expensive. And you have won, the PI attorney has won justice for these folks, but it's supposed to be a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
And it winds up being a 2-year thing. Well, there are ways around that is my point.
And so that's what I want to explore with you today. So if a PI lawyer came to you or their client, they sent their client to you, what, say like they got $1 million to put in their pocket, and you're saying that most times it'll last 18 months, what would be your advice to that client or that lawyer's client with $1 million?
Yeah, that we would do not only an irrevocable trust to protect that asset, right, to protect that $1 million, and that the client can have complete control over investments or, like that, fine. And they should actually, in my opinion, they should be intimately involved with the investment strategy. They should know what's happening with their money. But at the same time, by putting it into an irrevocable trust, right, now their creditors, it's off limits to their creditors. And that can be done in the settlement part of the thing, where the award, isn't frittered away with other obligations. How often, we see this with inheritances. My rule of thumb is that people will overestimate the value of an inheritance by at least 25, 50%. If they're getting a certain amount of money, they'll think it's more. It winds up being less, but they spent twice as much as they expected to get. And I believe I've seen that with people who've been victims, and they get the personal injury award and they've already spent it twice. Well, what if, and that wasn't the point anyway, right? So what if we could lock it up? What if we could put it in, we don't hand them a pillowcase of cash, you hand them a key to the safe deposit box. You fundamentally change, and this would be the idea, you fundamentally change what's going on here. This is not a windfall, right? This is sustaining for the rest of my life. This is, your words, a life-changing thing. And it should change your life in a good way. But, you can't expect people who aren't used to having, the biggest asset that most people have besides their house is their 401k, the IRA. But my clients, and they may have 2, 3, 400,000, they may have over $1 million in their IRA. And I'm talking line workers, I'm talking regular folks. If they've been participating right along, they'll have 7 figures in 6 figures, 7 figures in an IRA. But the IRA is weird money. They don't think about it. It's not really money to them. It's something else. It's this weird stuff. So to get a check that goes in a checking account, right? Well, that's not off limits anymore. That's just sort of, oh, that's the money I have. And, they've done surveys. They ask people, how much money would solve all the problems in your life? And the amount of money that the surveys come back with is shockingly small. $500,000 would solve all the problems in your life, would be solved by $500,000. That's what people think. So, and it obviously it's not true. So the idea that as the injury attorney, that you can offer more to your clients, right? It's not just, here's a check, see you later. It's no. And this would be an ongoing process. It would be something to talk about with the client, to demonstrate you're caring for them beyond, well, what stage are we at in the negotiations?
Right.
Here are other things to talk, other ways to get out in the community, other ways, to be the person who's, because let's face it, You get into an accident or a degloving accident in a factory or whatever it may be, right? The other side has lots of lawyers. It does seem to me that the PI attorneys are the white knights on the steed, not Robin Hood because he was stealing. In fact, you're just enforcing, what the righteous thing is. Okay, good. Somebody's got to do that. Somebody's got to do that. And you're doing it. Wonderful. Let's take the next step. That's what I'm saying.
So, irrevocable trust, can they be set up to where like the money goes in right from the lawyer's trust account, and then like maybe they like $1 million, they get declined 100,000, they took the other 900,000 that put into the revocable trust for them.
Bingo. And then you don't have this, well, because what people are doing is, well, here's an annuity that pays out over 20 years. But, everyone and his brother is willing to buy that from you and to buy that income stream. Well, we set up the trust so you can't do that.
So when you set up the irrevocable trust, that means
Right.
that they just can't take the money out, I guess, for no reason. There's any exceptions, or do they have like a? I'm not an expert in this, but I guess the trust, when that person dies, they've got a beneficiary of the trust that goes to like whoever they say, right?
That's right. And they can change that. So our goal, and we do a lot of irrevocable trust. In fact, it's part of what I would call a standard estate plan, in my opinion, because the biggest threat to middle class Americans is the long-term care, right? Which you've already paid for, but they'll break you before they'll let you have it, right? So, we do that kind of planning. But when we do that, it is an irrevocable trust. But because you have the right to change your beneficiaries, you have the right to the investments, to change the investments, that kind of thing. The IRS views it as a disregarded entity. We're not paying separate income tax or no separate tax returns or anything. You can set that up too for the personal injury plaintiff. So that
So how do they get the money out of it? I mean, I've heard of special needs trust. I mean,
Mhm.
is it a special needs irrevocable trust, or is it just a irrevocable trust?
Well, because you have the right to use the assets in the trust, your house is in the trust. Your savings are in the trust, right? You want to buy a car? The trust buys the car. Do you see? And you have a co-trustee. Now you can replace, depending, you might give the person the ability to replace the trustee, or you can limit who the trustee might be. There are ways to dial these things in. You can be very precise about it. But generally speaking, what we would do, well, what I would do for you, okay? I would say all your non-qualified assets are in the irrevocable trust. All right. You get sued. Does that really help you? Well, in some states, yeah. There's a whole common law thing there. But forget about that part. What it does is it takes the assets off the table when we're looking at long-term care, which is the thing that destroys most middle-class families, what breaks them. So, it's 12 to 18,000 bucks a month, depending for skilled care. NIH says you're going to need 3 years of skilled care. That's what they say. So that's what our planning is designed to do first and foremost. Okay. And then when the assets go to the kids, to the ultimate beneficiaries, they're wrapped in a trust. So divorce, bankruptcy, you didn't pay your taxes, whatever, then they can't get at that. And that's kind of where we're looking at for the PI folks. So that part of the settlement is that it comes to you in trust, right? You don't get a pillowcase of cash at midnight in the bad part of town. You get a key. Now, bad things can still happen to you, right? It's still midnight, bad part of town. That's life. But because you have the key, right? You have the key to the safe deposit box. You can't lose it. That's the point.
Okay. So how do you determine, like, if I need, who determines how much I can take out of that trust?
That would be so. The beauty thing with trusts, okay, is that they're almost infinitely adjustable, put it that way, for a given case. So you might say, well, I need 10,000 a month. I need 5,000 a month. I need 5,000 a month adjusted for inflation. I want a W-2 match. So if I earn money, I want you to match the money that I earn. We do that a lot with kids so they don't turn into trust babies. You know what I mean? They actually They actually do have some control. So there's all kinds of ways to adjust that. But at the end of the day, we've got a co-trustee, a professional trustee that is that's going to distribute the funds. That's one way to do it. We also have trusts where the beneficiary themselves, and this will not be so appropriate for the cases we're talking about, where the beneficiary decides who the co-trustee is. And so, if one trustee won't give you the money, well, appoint another one, right? Until you find someone who will. So part of what we're trying to do here, part of what we've been doing for 36 years now, is slowing it down. Okay? Slow it down. It's not boom, here's the pillowcase of cash and now go money burning a hole in your pocket, like Dad used to say. Instead, it's let's slow the process down. Let's put some layers of control. And nothing's perfect. We're on this side of the great divide, right? We're on Vale of Tears and everything. So, okay, let's just do the best that we can. We see that a lot with I'll tell you, the IRAs are just what happens in a estate planning context when kids get the IRA. The first thing they do is my analogy to somebody who earns the money in the IRA, it's the Taj Mahal, it's Fort Knox, never touch it. To your kids, it's a piñata, and they can't wait till you reach room temperature so they can start whacking it. Well, we set things up to slow that process down, to put a trust as the beneficiary of it that dishes it out to the kids, right? Because you still got 10 years. They've cut it back from lifetime to now it's 10 years for the beneficiary. There's all kinds of things like that really make the difference between here and gone. Another cautionary. Your listeners have to have certainly dozens more than I do examples of where they fought, it was tough litigation, they got a great settlement, and then what happens? It gets put into crazy investments that their friends want, or, oh, I'm sure we need another, the next Starbucks. Right. No, your friends aren't going to do the next Starbucks. Sorry. And I really do think that reputation matters. I think that reputation matters a lot. And so if you get that reputation as the injury attorney who's more than, oh, we'll fight for you and get your money. It's like, no, we're taking more of a concern, a bigger concern with you. You're not just another contingent fee, or whatever. We're really actually spending a lot of time to educate you on how I'll tell you, in my estate planning practice, every month we have a fun event, a trivia or, chili cook-off or something goofy like that. And then we have a serious one. We have visiting experts. Sometimes it's other attorneys. Sometimes it's insurance people. Sometimes it's financial advisor. Every quarter, we get together for a baseball game or to go to the public gardens or something like that to bring like-minded people together, right? And remind them that, hey, there's more to this than what you think. It's not just a stack of documents that you get and you put away, which is driving me nuts with this whole AI thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm in the Army. I was back in the 80s. I was the software development officer. That's what they had me at the Pentagon doing. And we were doing estate planning documents for guys who were about to deploy. So in about 20 minutes, you could get them a full estate plan, with the JAG officer there and everything else. So I'm all about automation and using the tools that computers bring to us. And we're using AI to tailor our documents beyond what was practical before. I mean, it's great stuff, but it's not a substitute, right? I mean, you must get these, on the Facebook or whatever. It's like, oh, here's how to write a demand letter in 20 minutes or less. It's like, I bet you not. I mean, if it's anything like the ads I see that are pushing, add estate planning to your practice, it's like nothing. The AI does it all for you. I don't think that's true about anything.
No. What would something like this cost I know it would vary. I know it's not one price fits all, but what's the range it would cost the client to get this done?
Yeah. So, as a matter of fact, I've got a couple of partners, and what we've been trying to do for the last several years now is figure out how to bring sort of the bigger vision. And we tried franchising it. I lost a lot of money doing the franchise thing. Forget it. We tried partnering with law firms, but it turned out that it was very difficult to get the message across, to get them to really engage. So what we're doing now is in the city, we did 10 cities, great response to the marketing. People showed up. It was just a matter of the people we were partnered with, the attorneys we were partnered with, didn't really buy into it. You know how that is. And so now we're just doing it. We've got a few that were successful, so we're keeping them. But the basic idea is, okay, we're just going directly market by market, and we're going to do it from the mothership. I mean, we just have to, because that way the message will be clear and everything else. And right now we're charging between $6,000 and $7,500 to do a revocable trust, like kind of like everybody does, but the protection trust to protect assets from lawsuits and long-term care. And there's you can argue about the common law trusts, and believe me, they used to say that back in medieval times they'd argue over how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. Well, you haven't seen anything until you see trust lawyers going at each other over the minutia of some things. But and then we do the financial power of attorney, which is different than the usual financial powers of attorney that we're seeing, which are just bill paying powers of attorney. Instead, the power of attorney is really a very powerful planning document. Same way with healthcare power of attorney. The laws keep changing, and there are other things we do in addition to the simple, healthcare power, mental health issues. There's all kinds of stuff, HIPAA forms and funeral representative. All the rest of that is all part of it. And this is the most important part, it seems like to me. It's the most common failure point with trusts, and that is there's no follow through. It's like you get here's the documents. You talk about handing a check over to the client and expect them, to know what to do with it. Well, we hand over, estate planning attorneys typically hand over documents to people, right? And now you're on your own. Like you're supposed to read the instructions that are in there. Ken, you strike me as the kind of guy who tends not to read the instructions. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
When was the last time you read the instructions? Well, nobody reads the instructions, especially not with trust, because it's all legalese, which is why the trusts routinely fail. I mean, it's an unrecognized epidemic of trust failures because there is no follow through. And what my partners and I are doing, what we've been doing here for 36 years, is the follow through. You better like us, because if you don't like us, you're really, you're not going to like this, because you're going to be hearing from us. We're going to bring you to baseball every week. We send out a newsletter. I do a 2-hour radio show every Sunday. If you don't like it, well, maybe, I don't know, write it on the back of a napkin or something, I guess.
Yeah. So, and so this is a good point too, not talking about trust anymore, but about the newsletter. I think, I've been preaching this for 20 years, but I think it doesn't have to be fancy, but I think, do you send it out emails or do you send it out paper?
Email.
Okay.
We do email, and then we do a lot of paper correspondence. We do a lot of large format postcards. You can do that. We just sent out 4,400 handwritten Christmas cards, to our clients. That took the whole firm, an hour a day for a couple of weeks there, writing a personal message, that kind of thing. But I'll tell you what, because we track all this stuff, right? Our open rate, and we've got about 16,000 that we send to. Our open rate's around 40%, and the most, they do the tracking too on that. But the most common thing is Ask David. So we have an Ask David thing, and it's me answering real questions. Now, some of them are off the radio show. Some of them are, you get in public forums where people are asking questions, and I'll just take that question, you use your word processing software, dictate an answer to it. I mean, especially I mean, that's got to be more interesting. That's got to be more
Yeah,
interesting than trusts.
yeah. I mean, I used to do when I was practicing. I did a paper one every other month, and then the months I didn't do paper, I did the email.
Hmm.
And I think it's good about number one. It's like you said, you top of mind awareness. You
Yes.
get referrals, you staying in contact, and because people like to refer people they know, like, trust, and remember. And if you don't send them stuff, they will forget you. Lawyers' egos make them think that they'll never be forgotten, but they get forgotten very easily.
Yeah. You are not kidding.
You
You are
know,
not
it's
kidding.
yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking I had a bunch of trust and everything created for me about 4 years ago when I lived in Myrtle Beach and I moved to North Carolina now. I can't remember his name, but he's never sent me a thing since I went to him. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. I've got, there are clients now, but the stories they tell of begging the attorney to do a review
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
won't do it. And it's like, I'll pay you. Yeah, yeah. But you know what I'll tell you what it is. This is my theory. I don't want to hear about it. You don't have any scientific. So anecdotal. Yeah, it's anecdotal. When I do a workshop, I ask people who already has a trust. Half the hands go up. Okay, raise your hand. Keep your hand up if the last time you talked to the attorney was when you signed the documents. No hands go down. Because there's no service after the sale because it's which is why the AI thing is so appealing to people because you think all you're doing is selling documents. It's like, no, no. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot more going on, but everybody wants the simple. So we just have to, we have to do the spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down. I mean, that's why we have the fun
Yeah.
events. That's
Yeah.
why, we do baseball games and stuff. That's why we do
Believe,
the classic car show.
yeah. Believe it or not, I wrote a book about 10 years ago called Under Promise, Over Deliver. It was about how to build a law firm. And one of the things that was like really important is to, I said there's three stages of marketing a law firm: before representation, during representation, and after representation. 90% of lawyers do it before, maybe 50% do it during and before, and maybe 10% do it after. You know what I'm saying? So you're one of the 10%. And that's where a lot of lost money, a lot of leakage, a lot of lost money is because those people already know you, like you, trust you, and but they will forget you if you don't stay in contact.
Well, ask anybody which is the most expensive, difficult, painful sale? The
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah.
Now, if you screw up, well, okay, they're not going to like you.
Yeah.
But what if you don't screw up? What if you actually deliver on your promises?
Yeah.
Well, then they become your champions
Yeah.
and they drag other people to
Yeah.
you. And I've got to believe that it's the same thing with the PI people. I got
It,
to
it,
believe that.
it is. It is. I mean, I've got a bunch of, I created I'm not going to get into it today, but I've created a lot of ways to get clients to refer you clients and love to do it. And, it's just a lot of psychology involved. But anyway, we're running out of time. But if people,
Wait a second. I thought this was 3 hours.
yeah,
What?
yeah, yeah. I'm surprised the attention span is getting shorter and shorter for everybody. So I try to keep them about 30 minutes. It's a lot of people listen to this podcast when they're driving to work or around or when they're working out or whatever, and or walking. So it's a good time to do it. So if some of our viewers or our listeners wanted to know more, how can they get up with you, David?
Yeah. So my email is very simple, david@davidcarrierlaw.com. That's the email. And if you go to the website, davidcarrierlaw.com, and I encourage everybody to do this, okay? Go to the website. Turn your pop-up blocker off, all right? Because there's an AI assistant that pops up, and it is not a chat bot. You can talk to it. You can type in questions if you want. Talking is more fun. and it will give you answers based on, it's limited to my library of stuff. So it's going to be consistent with it doesn't go out in the internet and hallucinate all kinds of stuff. It's very, pretty tight. But that would be, give it a try. And I'll tell you what, if you give that a try, you're going to want one, for your own website, because, I believe websites are going away. It's not going to be click, click, click here and there. It's going to be talk to it, and then it pulls the information that you need. You talk about your marketing thing. It's like, that's a beauty way to get a hold of us. Get on the count. It'll schedule. I mean, it's amazing what these tools are doing. But you got to remember, it's the carpenter, not the tool.
Yeah. It's like anything else. You put in shit, you're going to get out shit. There you go.
Buy the 99-cent hammer. I don't care if you're Michelangelo. You're going to have a hard time.
So is this like an AI agent, or
Yeah, it is. That's what it is. AI assistant agent. Yeah. Or you can call us 800-317-2812. 800-317-2812. That's the number. So you can go to the web. You can email me, david@davidcarrierlaw.com. Go to davidcarrierlaw.com or 800-317-2812, and we'll get back with you. We are I'll tell you, we are looking for PI firms to partner with as we expand throughout the country on just on the estate planning. That's happening. I mean, we've made the commitment. We're actually doing that, and we'd be very interested, frankly, in working with people who want to provide that extra level of care, which Ken, I've talked to you, before, and my sense of the thing is that you view the service after the sale, the genuine concern, the follow through, right, is fundamental to your approach to this thing. And I just couldn't agree more.
It is. I mean, it is. I mean, I'm really big. I was spending millions on marketing, but I was still getting almost in the 42-43% referrals from past clients, not doctors, not lawyers, past clients.
Sure.
It's because we did a lot of things to really stay in contact with them and stay in front of them and be there. I mean, my rule of thumb was, we wanted to become their trusted legal advisor. Even if we couldn't handle it, we wanted to be able. I didn't want them to try to figure out what kind of law I did, and I miss a real big case that I could refer out and get a big ass referral fee. So I just said, call us. If we can't help you, we'll get you to somebody. And then you give lawyers referrals, and then they don't do PI. Then what are they going to do? Reciprocity. They're going to turn back and give you referrals. And
that's right.
So it was a big play, and I think it's still a big play. I think it's a real big play, and I think you're going to see more lawyers going back to that play as you get these mega law firms, national firms. We're going to have to go back to the basics, and because they're not going to do that because they're too big. But anyway, it's great talking.
One other thing, and I don't want this to be construed as sycophantic or whatever, but it's like, I know you're doing an AI workshop is happening down in Florida. I've already recommended a few people go to it, and I know that some of the people that I'm involved with on the AI front are going to be sending people to it. It's a tool. It's not a solution. Right? No. Let's not confuse the two. But I just gotta say that that's just one more aspect that you guys are doing that's critical. Yeah. And it's more fun, ain't it?
Yeah, I use it every day.
Yeah.
I use it every day. Yep. All right. Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.